Hey everybody, Bryan here again. Beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's about 80 degrees here in northern Indiana. I'm feeling kind of down today. You can probably guess why. If you watched the slate of games last night for the WNBA playoffs, you'll probably have a good guess as to why I'm a bit down. Minnesota's down 2-1 after a very controversial ending to last night's game. Coach Reeve ejected, clearly angry at the officials. Collier hurt, possibly a fracture according to the coach. MRI is being done. We'll figure that out here probably in a day or so. But it appears that Minnesota's done. So it goes. You look at Indiana, what they've suffered through all season. And they're, kind of in the same boat. But they were playing with house money. Minnesota, however, full strength. And this happens. Down 2-1 to a very hot, no pun intended, Phoenix team who seems very destined, very determined, very willfully involved with their advancement. And I can blame a lot of that on Alyssa Thomas, who plays like a damn warrior out there. Got to give her credit. I really got to. Though it pains me to do so, they're, I think, right now the better team. And unless something magical happens and we go to a Game 5, I have the feeling that Phoenix is going to take this one. Yeah, hot take, right? As for the Aces fever, yeah, Indiana shocked them with that first win. I get it. But Asia and the Aces are not going to let that happen. Once again, looks like they're going to go up and advance to the finals of their next game. Not surprised at all. In fact, I called Indiana to go out earlier than that, but they shocked me then. Never know. And the way the season has gone, could happen again. You know that I read something before I started doing the video, and this is from Coach Nate Tibbetts of the Phoenix Mercury. And by the way, you might catch me saying the Sun from time to time, or Suns for Phoenix. I don't know why. It's such a nice day. I've got the sun in my eyes. Got the sun on the brain. So I might mess up and say Phoenix Suns here from time to time. But the Phoenix Mercury coach, Nate Tibbetts, he was asked about the ending of that game last night. And he said what I think most people thought. You know what? We're just playing to win. We're trying to focus on us. We're trying to focus on these games one at a time, make the proper adjustments, and do the right thing. Try not to let this get out of hand with, peripheral problems. I think it's a very thoughtful, insightful way of looking at the game. You wouldn't know it by the article itself. The one I read was on, I think it was Yahoo Sports. The headline for it was something to the effect of Phoenix Mercury coach dismissive over the refs in last night's game. It makes it sound like he's just telling Coach Reeve, whatever, big deal. But he knows that's not the case. He's been in plenty of positions before where he's gotten hot, multiple technicals in a game, or at least approaching multiple ones. It's not as if these coaches are not aware of the problems with the refs. How we address it, I don't know. But I was talking with my wife this morning, because of course this is the morning after that game last night. And I don't like playing conspiracy theorist. There are times when I start thinking about these things and put it in a historical context. If you remember, a long time ago, I think it was around 2003, 2004, something like that. The NBA was wrapped in scandal due to betting, sportsbook betting by referees. I think the guy's name was Tim. It's not Donahue. I think it's Tim Donahue, something like that. Well, he was officiating games that he was also betting on. Got in trouble for it. It just caused a massive problem for the NBA, and understandably so. It was a league that was in transition, leaving the era of street ball, the sort of, and I say this lovingly, the sort of gangster, sort of pastiche and sort of styling, to change more into, okay, we're going to wear suits to the games, we're going to be upstanding citizens, even though we just throw a ball around. It was a black eye for the league. That was during a time when betting on sports was a kind of an underground, clandestine sort of thing. It always existed. Fantasy football, fantasy basketball has been around for a long time. But the way that was presented, the way that happened, it was very unusual for that to make headlines. So what they found out was something very monumental. It hurt the league. It put officiating into, massive concern by fans, even players. But they got over it. They moved on. We now accept gambling as part of sports, both at the professional and the collegiate level. And it's just a matter of time, unless it's already happening, before it starts to creep into high school sports. Let your moral compass guide you, but for me, I would feel very icky betting on a game where, adolescents, teenagers are playing in. It seems gross, but that's just me. Fast forward to today, we have refs who are probably openly, in one regard or another, betting on certain games. How do you catch someone, let's say a WNBA official, how do you catch them betting on games that they're refereeing? I don't know. But it seems like you could make an argument stating, hey, these games seem a bit fixed. Why is it that a player like Nafisa Collier, who's one of her big things, much like Brianna Stewart, is to approach the rim physically and try to draw a foul? She has no foul shots that entire game last night. But she had, 4 or 5 fouls on her? Very strange. Unusual. The Lynx kept it together all game. They were down for a bit, went up for a bit, down for a bit. It's close game, good game, physical game. But that very end was very weird. Very weird indeed. Again, just wondering about this. I don't really pay attention to sports lines, how many points this team's getting over another. Predictions, sure. I'll listen to some people in the know predicting how the turnout for the series will be. But as far as getting to the gambling odds, no, that's not my thing. I thought about playing fantasy basketball next season, if there's a season at all. But for, popping popcorn money, nothing major. I find this league to be particularly difficult to really nail down. If I were betting my life on the playoffs, I would probably be shaking in my shoes right now, because I fully expect Minnesota to just kind of concede to Phoenix, which doesn't make a lot of sense, given that they should have won Game 2. Last night could have been a win. There's no reason why they're letting Sabali do as much as she can. There's just no reason for it. And it just boggles me that a team like Minnesota, who is so great with teamwork, high assists, great ball movement, great positioning, fantastic shooting, just seems so underwhelming at times. It's like they're going through like emotional struggle. Like one game they're on it. Courtney Williams is a great example of that. One night she's just shooting the lights out. Next night she's just not there. I don't get it. Where's the consistency here? So it seems to me, when I see a player like, I don't know, A'ja Wilson, every night getting 20 points, 18 points, something like that, 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, I don't look at that as being an anomaly. Like, that's a great game for her. No, that's consistency. For a while, Nafisa was doing the same thing. She gets hurt, comes back, has good games, a few quiet games, but never really returns to her form. That's what I was saying, as much as I like Nafisa, I think she's a wonderful person and player mutually. I just put more stock right now on A'ja. And if you saw, sure enough, she won the MVP for the regular season. My wife didn't like that. She's not really into A'ja. I like A'ja a lot more than my wife does. I think it's because I appreciate her game, and I like her as a person. I think she's very nice, very cordial. I like her on the microphone. She just seems like a very cool person, down to earth. But I have limited perspective on this. I'm not an insider. I'm just a regular person here. I'm back to where I started with this park. I just basically did a lap around the baseball diamond here. I'm going to go back on the track. I'm going to head towards the school. There's this middle school down here. I think I'm going to head down there and turn around afterwards. Acorns all over the place. Basketball court. Might come down here sometime. Shoot around a bit. I love basketball, of course. I can shoot. I just can't play. I don't have the stamina for it. I can't play defense. Used to be able to. Not so much anymore. Anyways, back to last night's game, particularly the very end. I get when a coach is angry, they feel their team has been disrespected by the referees. I keep saying referee, I should say officials. Referees, officials, umpires, judges. So I get a coach's feeling on that. What I don't like is the reaction. I'm okay with anger. I'm okay with yelling a bit. You're a motivator, and that's your job. What I don't like is having to be held back. I criticized Tyler Marsh for basically the same thing. However, his problem was that he was running at an official with what appeared to be his fist cocked. You just can't do that. Come on. That is a severe lapse in judgment there. If you're a leader of a team, you should know better. I cannot give him that leeway. Reeve, again, very smart coach, very driven, but it's a bad look. Try to get yourself under control. Go ahead and you're going to have your conference or press conference afterwards. You're going to do that. That's the time to get this out. Here's what that does for you. It gives you time to cool down, compose your thoughts, and get them out in the proper way. She was clearly still heated, using expletives to describe her feelings towards the officials. Again, I can't blame her. I can't. That's not what I want from her. Her team goes as she goes. If she's showing off a frantic loud, berserk sort of attitude, that's what our team is going to do. I don't want that. They're not known for that. Her teams are supposed to be well coached, well prepared, well conditioned, ready to take on any foe, doesn't matter who they are, and put up a good fight. Laying eggs, that's not what they're about. Last night was not an egg laying, but it may as well have been. You would have thought that was happening all throughout the game. I don't think that was the case. One particular play. Alyssa tries to pull away that ball from Nafisa. Negative odds happen. She gets hurt. Some of those things you can't really engineer out of the formula. That's the way it is. Sucks, but I have to accept it. So I walk today and talk with you with a very heavy heart at what I'm going to presume to be the end of Minnesota Lynx 2025. I'll have to start looking to next season, which should be interesting. I'm still holding on to this weird idea. Strange idea. Just kind of popped into my head a few episodes ago about Bridget moving on to headline the Toronto Tempo. They're not going to have a massive star. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to go the way of Golden State and Portland, where they get some, B- B players, and they're going to ragtag it all season and see how they do. I think she's perfect for that. I want her to remain a Lynx. Let me be clear on that. However, her output's been low. Points have been low. Good, solid player, but she is so focused on everybody else. I want her to take more shots because she can make them. I want her to work on that. Be more selfish. Selfish in a way that says, hey, I can contribute myself, not just as an arm of the rest of the team. She gets good minutes. She's out there for a reason. I just want to see her do more. And I think a change of scenery might help that. It's the same thing with Kelsey Plum. She lasted so long in the shadow of Asia Wilson that she needed to leave. I hope she's happy. I really do. I think that position of being a great team-minded vet who's able to flip the switch and turn it on for herself, that's great. I wish nothing but the best for the Sparks and Kelsey Plum together. I know I'm not really big on them, but I'm fond of that move. And I think it should be the same thing for Bridget. Now, she's not a headliner in the way that Kelsey is, but she could headline the Tempo. As for Portland, I don't know. With the firing of Sandy Brondello, which to me is still a little murky as to the reasons why. Some reports I'm hearing, yeah, she wanted to go. Some I'm reading said, well, she was supposed to leave last season, even though they won the championship. I don't quite get it. But I can tell you who is really mad about that. You can probably guess, given what I've told you so far, these, couple months. My wife. She wrote me a text the morning after and said, do you believe this shit? She was very hurt by that. She loves Sandy Brondello. I can't blame her. Good coach. But New York has been a weird anomaly, a weird situation all season. Injury problems plagued them, but not necessarily all at once for an extended period of time. It seemed to be like taking turns. Okay, who's injured this week? Who's coming back? Okay, Sabrina's coming back. Who's going to get hurt? It was just a weird season. I don't know if I can really blame the coach. And I talk about them a lot, and I do so every episode because it's a nagging thought for me. I'm trying to reason through the situation in New York. And what I tend to float towards is the idea that they're top heavy. They've got a lot of star power, MVP power. If you can't hold that power and harness it and use it the right way, you're going to struggle. That's why you have teams like Indiana just blowing through the playoffs, getting to where they're at, because they play with such a... It's like you can plug and play anybody into their system and they'll do well. Kelsey's a great player. Look at one of my older episodes. She's an untapped resource. When Caitlin comes back, what's she going to do? Stay with a fever? Relinquish her star power back to Caitlin? I don't think she should. Is she going to play fair with Caitlin? I don't know. Kelsey should be leading a team. If it's not Indiana, I think it should be someone like maybe Portland. But the problem is, like I said before, expansion teams tend to not get big-time names. They get these B-minus players to ragtag it forward. Kelsey's beyond that. But nevertheless, Indiana is making a good push, in spite of, half the team on the bench. New York couldn't do that. Weird injuries, one after another. One goes out, one comes in. Do I blame the coach? No. Is there any reason for me to think that the coach has anything to do with the negative aspects of the Liberty? As far as I can tell, beyond the normal play calling and decision making and the clock management, things like that, I don't think so. She didn't seem to be a thoughtless coach. Didn't seem to be a coach who was unreliable. Was wandering around all season with a garbage record. No, they were good. Liberty's good. I'm still pro New York. Though sometimes it pains me to say that. Yeah, that firing didn't make sense to me. Noelle Quinn of the Seattle Storm. Again, I don't get it. What was her problem? Seattle was an up-down sort of team. One night you get a merry band of all-stars. The next night you'd find them kind of sleeping at the wheel. A little strange, I get it, but does that mean she should be fired? I don't think so. I hope she finds a good spot. I hope Coach Brondello finds a good spot. I hope Coach Quinn finds a good spot. They deserve better locations if this is the way they're going to be treated. I never looked up what Noelle had done or what the reasoning was behind her departure or her letting go. I can't imagine it's anything too terrible. I'll have to look that up. Watch, I'll look it up, and it turns out she did something terrible, and I'll have to amend everything I'm saying for the next episode. I don't know. Tyler Marsh is still there. The guy for the Sun is still there. But I got to give him a little bit of leeway. One, I don't even remember his name. Two, the Connecticut Sun was gutted at the end of last season. More or less random generator team creation was the name of the game this year for him. It's never put together. Didn't get anything going. It's not that they have bad players. It didn't seem like they were really gelling together. He's still hanging around. Marsh, last time I checked, he's still hanging around. I'm not sure how strong his stock is right now, though. Wouldn't be surprised. You know, the Lynx, they do a great job of bringing coaches back into the fold. You know, Lindsay Whalen, she's an assistant to Reeve. Eric Thibault, he's on the team, used to be the Wizards. Mystics, the good old Washington Fish Sticks. Used to be their coach. She took him on. He's been good. Man, I can't remember her name. She used to be the coach of the Dream. I talked about her before. She's an assistant to somebody else. She took over that one game for, I think it was Marsh, when he got thrown out. She took over for the Sky. And they actually did better with her as coach. Which, yeah. There's part of me that thought, you know what, just elevate her to coach. Get rid of Marsh. If he's going to be pulling that stuff, if he can't keep it together, yeah, just do that. Makes sense. I know that's not how you do it in the professional realm. I get it. Again, another outsider making insider decisions, and I can't do that. But if I'm a fan, I would probably look at that and go, well, geez, why are they playing so much better with her as a coach? Well, it's because when they saw their coach get ejected, that empowered them, and now they're encouraged to do a lot better. Oh, so when he's on the court or on the sidelines, they're not encouraged to do better? Is that how it works? You have to get kicked out in order for your team to do better? Okay. Let's see how long that lasts as a strategy. Not very long, of course, because it's stupid. Yeah, a lot of weird things happened in the W since last week. I was going to put out a video after that 20-point choke job by the Lynx against Phoenix, just because I was so mad. You got to keep your foot on the gas. I don't care who you're playing. It could be Minnesota against Dallas. If you're up by 20, you keep your foot on the gas. That's how you do it. It's basketball. It's not like football. If you watched Notre Dame and Arkansas, the first meeting between these two, Notre Dame ranked in the top 25 with a losing record. Wow. They go and they play Arkansas in Arkansas. They put up 42 in the first half. They're up by, I think, 29 points going into the second half. They've got the ball. I don't want to talk football a lot here. I just want to emphasize this little point. The differences between football and basketball. You're up by 29 against a non-ranked opponent. It's fourth down. You can just punt the ball. Nope, trick play. Notre Dame gets 40 yards out of it. I'm thinking, wait a minute. You are likely going to win this game. Arkansas hasn't done much at all, but you need to keep piling it on. Ah, okay. So they got the ball back, first down. Arkansas does a nice job with their defense. Quick to fourth down. And there we go again. They go for it on fourth down. All they had to do is kick a field goal. Keep it respectful. Nope. Notre Dame's got to go in for the kill. Why? Because when they play good teams, they can't do that. They're going to be very conservative. But against Arkansas, yeah, let's turn on the heat. We're only up by 29, boys. Let's go ahead and do some trick plays and go for it on fourth down because we're desperately trying to win this game, right? No. We're trying to tell the rest of the nation that they are worthy of their ranking, despite losing to my team or my preferred team, I should say, not my team, but I root for the Hurricanes. I lost to them, which is awesome. Can't stand Notre Dame. Yeah, imagine living in Indiana and saying that openly. Yeah, I hate Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. I really don't like Indiana anymore. Not into Purdue. They kind of bore me. Ball State, who's that? Butler. Oh, they used to be good in basketball. That one game, or if that shot had gone like 2 inches to the left or whatever, it would have been in. Would have won a championship, but they blew all of their stock on one game against another team I hate, Duke. But in football, you're encouraged to beat the hell out of your opponent because it makes you look good in the eyes of the committee. In basketball, though, you're not really encouraged to do that. In fact, you're more encouraged to just let your stars sit. Get your B team out there and get some experience. That's the sensible thing to do. You got the win. It goes by record and head-to-head matchups and divisional play. Not in college football. It's all crystal balls and the magic 8 ball determining who's the best team in the league in the Division I sports. So I kind of don't like it anymore. They think by adding more teams to the playoffs that makes it an overall better product, but I say no. It just waters down a playoff season that's already a bit watered down. I don't care about who's ranked 8th. That could be a team with 2 losses, which makes losing one game, no big deal. Come on. If you're going to put, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but if you're going to put Cornhole State and Ladder Ball Tech on your schedule to start padding your resume, you don't deserve to have a championship even if you win it. I would love to get rid of all those low-end teams and just have the power conferences be in their own division. I'm going to stand behind that for as long as I live, I think, until I find better evidence to the contrary. I'm glad Notre Dame can, get Arkansas on their schedule, finally, for the first time ever. But try getting more SEC teams in there. Try getting some Big Ten teams in there more often. Wofford is not going to cut it. Louisiana Tech is not going to cut it. But that's football. That's one problem sport. I'm talking about the other problem sport of basketball. And then, as if they didn't have enough issues, the WNBA as a business model, a cultural phenomenon, the biggest women's league in the nation. Now you've got some political arrows aimed at them because of their so-called wokeness. Here, I just thought they were an island to themselves, relatively quiet until, the talk of money comes up. Nope, we've got certain people who are aiming at them to get them either shut down or changed or whatever, and it's directly because of Caitlin Clark. They view her as being singled out, as being unfairly treated, excessive physical play with her, or against her, I should say, because of what she is and who she is. I don't know how you prove that, but that's the belief. It's kind of fun. Dog in a balloon. That's a highlight of the day right there, dog in a balloon. But now I got to hear about political problems once again in the WNBA. They went through that a few years back, especially during the bubble season, the COVID era. Didn't like that. let's worry about our own sport, our own league. Let's not try to change the world and solve global problems by playing basketball. It's just not going to work. And no matter what sort of platitudes you paint on the court or run jerseys, you can't stop crazy. And you can't stop those with the will to cause violence and pain. The best you can do is mitigate it. I know that was pretty easy to understand, but when you're a league that's struggling with your identity, there's an inclination to grasp on to whatever bandwagon's going by, and sometimes these social initiatives enrapture our professional sports. And even though it has terrible consequences, such as with the NFL and the whole kneeling problem, some people don't get it. We treat sports as an escape, at least we as fans, and I like to keep it that way. But I've lost a lot of interest in certain leagues because of the problems of political correctness or political adjustment for the sake of social revitalization or perceived revitalization and the ending of certain isms. But did they really succeed in that? Or did they just turn off a lot of players and fans and cause them to take sides? How does that help? Forcing people into pigeonholes? I don't know. But I hope by the time next season rolls around, we can get back to basketball, put silliness behind us. Let's have a little more confidence in our officiating, if we can, at all, and try again. I'm thirsty. My mouth's dry. I think I've got allergies. Gotta do something about that. Man, you know that taste in your mouth, the cotton mouth? Ugh. Need something. Need to get an Olipop, I think. Yeah, I want an Olipop. Not a bug in my mouth. All right. In case I don't talk to you soon, have a great remainder of your weekend. Finishing up September, going into October. Have a great fall. Take care.